Hey guys, welcome back to the Anvil tutorial. In this one we're going to be doing the top part of it because we ran out of time for doing the base and the rest of it, and we might be able to get to the hammer this one too, so let's get started. We left off with the bottom part and we got kind of like the post part. Now we need to make the top part, which is going to go back to the first original color. So if you remember, all we have to do is just copy and paste this one down, and we're using the buttons to mark out where we are. And we just got to offset this up by however many blocks we have, because it's sitting on top of the first block. It's actually right here, so what we're doing is we're going up for 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're just going to offset it by 4. Then it should be in the same exact position as it is before, and then we have to offset it based on the rest of the stuff that we've got up here, which this particle down here is 1, this is also 1, and then this in the middle is 0.5, but since this one in the middle overlaps this top one, we're just going to have to kind of trial and error this thing. So I'm going to offset it by 0.5 and see how that does, which would make that 5. Well, it's 0.45. Then we can bring it back down, maybe one full one, or maybe 0.5. And if you're happy with that, that's good, but I think it's a little too flat on top, so I'm actually going to take this wider so it kind of overlaps the bottom, make it a little bit taller. So for the size, I'm going to change that 0.1, maybe double it to 0.2. Now let's go 0.25 because it's the top of an anvil, so it's got to be thicker. And then once you've got kind of your thickness, you want to look at the bottom lip here, and I'm not liking how little it is compared to the bottom one down here. So I'm just going to increase, or kind of raise this up a little bit to give that lip a little bit more. So I'm going to go back to 5 and see how that works. Now, 5 didn't work before because of how thin this was, so it was offset based on the center. But because it's thicker, now it's a little bit different. Now if you're happy with the settings, it might be a little bit too tall for my taste, but you can easily adjust that. Anyway, we're going to get started with like the two ends of it, the back end and the front end. So what we want to do is, because we've already got pretty much most of the settings, again we're going to copy the last block we used, paste it down, and then put the button so we know where it's at, and then we got to offset it once so we get the same position. Now this one is going to be the back end, which is actually going to be right here, because it's got to make it a little bit wider so it's not just directly off to one side, because it'll look very weird. In this back end it's going to be a little bit thinner, but not by much. And I don't remember exactly what the left and right is for the XYZ, so we're going to have to kind of experiment. So I'll start by just changing this to 1 and see where it jumps to, which is back there. So that's not the number we want. And because that's positive, I'm going to take a guess and say that negative is the way we want. Nope. Well, you could use that as the back if you want, but I'm going to make the front pointing that way. So we want a positive, and we're just going to do like maybe positive 0.15. See where that goes. And if that's where you want it, that's fine. Depending on how the front goes, you probably want it half the distance of however far it's sticking out. So that might be a little bit too much for me. I'll just go 0.1. And then I'm going to change the size up a bit. Now we know that left and right is this number, so we want to kind of leave that one alone, and we want to adjust the second one. Maybe just take off 0.5, maybe take off a little bit of height as well. You will probably need to push it up to offset that, because as you see it kind of jumped down a little bit. So just to offset that, for the height, just put 0. And then because we took off 0.5, we're going to take that 0.5 but change that to 0.025, because that's half of what we took off. And because it takes it off of the top and the bottom, that kind of offsets what we needed. And then if you look at it from above, you'll see that it's just barely little compared to the rest of it, which is an added detail. You can keep it, or you can make it smaller, or you can just keep it normal how you want it. It's up to you. And then we're going to take that piece, copy it again, because all we got to do is just make it smaller and move it around. So we're going to take it and bring it up one more block to level it out, and then we're actually going to take this and switch it to negative 0.1. which will actually push it out the other side. And if you remember, I said I wanted to make it double the height of, or double the length of the back side, but this is actually looking pretty good right here, but we're going to actually give it like a nose kind of thing. So we're going to keep what that is, and then we're going to add a thinner one to go with it. And all we got to do is offset this again, make it higher to level it out with the rest of it, and we're going to bring it out another, I'll try another 0.1 and see how that works. But then we're going to take the Z, because that's the forward and backwards, and we're going to make it thinner. So maybe we'll go 0.15 to give it kind of a half. And it stuck out a little bit more, and it's a little bit thinner. I think it needs to stick out a little bit more than that though, because this is like the pointy side of it. So I'm going to take this -2 and put it -2.5. Then once you're happy with that, you kind of got your shape of your anvil. And then we need to actually give it like the actual holes in the back. I'm not entirely sure what it's used for because I'm not a blacksmith, but there are holes in the back. And you know, they're like that. So they're just tiny squares. And of course this is a little bit different from the colors of what I had for the original anvil, and it's not going to be the same, but after you get like the concept of how to do this, then it will look a little bit better for you. But anyway, we got to offset it to make it level, and we're going to take it back to offset it where the back was, which was 0.1. And then we're going to change the size, and it's going to be pretty small. So we'll even do 0.05 for the height, and then maybe 0.1 for the length and the width. And then the second one's going to be even smaller. And then because this is going to be spawning inside of the anvil, I'm going to take this and change it to maybe 0.15 so it'll be floating above and we can see it. And I forgot to change the color of it, so it's kind of hard to see, but all you have to do is delete everything and it'll automatically put it as black. But, oh, never mind. I think you just have to delete these numbers, but anyway, 000 would be the black. You could, of course, put this like just a darker gray if you wanted to, but I want these to be pitch black because they're the holes. And I think I did that to the wrong block, which isn't good at all. And if you could hear that noise, that was my noisy neighbor. Always slamming the doors at 3 in the morning. Now let's get back to putting the right color in the right space. That's kind of why the buttons are important. I forgot to put one down, so I kind of lost where I was at. Okay, and we got that one, and we just got to like push it down, maybe make it a little bit smaller. It's kind of bulky. So instead of 0.1, we'll do 0.05, which is half of that. And then just take the offset and maybe drop it down a little bit. So we'll go 12.5 or 125. And that's about the right size we want, but it's still right above it, so we got to drop it down even more. So we'll just do 12 and see where that is. Still quite a bit. We'll go back to 1 and see how that is. And we'll do 1.1 so it sticks one piece of a particle up above the other one. And then once we got that, you can move it back a little bit. So instead of 0.1, we'll do 0.125, see where that goes. Which it's a little bit better than being in the center of it. Maybe we'll go 1.5, and then we'll take the smaller one and bring it even further. And then we got to make a smaller one, which is the same exact coordinates. You just got to do the offset to level it up again to 10, and then we're offsetting it to 0.5 5.2. And then we're taking the size and we're going to make it even smaller, which you just add a 2 in front of the 5. But you want to keep the Y the same. And you've got yourself your two little holes, but having it further in the back might be a little bit better. Which you could easily just add a few numbers here. Oh, nope, we got to take off numbers. Oh, dang it. I keep forgetting to put the buttons. But anyway, that's how to kind of finish off your anvil. And in part 3, I'm going to be making the hammer for you guys. And I tried making some tongs, but you can't add like a diagonal slant to it, so it doesn't look very good. But here's how to make your anvil. So hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll be making part 3 here shortly.